Welcome back to Eyewitness News this morning. We're joined now by Charley O'Hara here to answer your legal questions. Remember, if you do have a question about any sort of legal matter, give us a call. The number is 436-1212. We do already have a couple callers on the line. Caller number 1, go ahead with your question for Charley.
Okay, hey. I know of a family member who had a sexual case against them, against their niece, and he spent 2 years in jail for sexual assault and battery on my niece. And how come he's not on the sexual offenders list from 1993? Thank you.
Well, actually, there's a little bit of a controversy. The registration actually came into effect much later than 1993, and it's more of a some of it was, I think, a little before, maybe in the early 2000s or before, but most of that came later, and all the requirements and all the different kinds of convictions that are required. And what the offender is, it's sexual registration offender, is there's a list, and every 3 to 4 months, everybody that's got a sexual offense must register, say where they live, so they know where they are. So people can get on their computers on the internet and find out where people live. So they're required to register. There's some other reasons for it too. Obviously, they can't be school teachers or coaches or things like that. So there's reasons like that for them too. But primarily, it's to be on the internet so everybody knows where they are. It's required, but I don't think it was required in 1993.
Right, so anything before the sexual offense registry was required, odds are most of those offenders do not have to register unless they offend again.
Well, yes, and I think there's been some arguments about how that actually applies, but I think what you said is correct.
Okay, all right, worth some looking into. All right, thank you, caller. We do have another caller on the line. Go ahead with your question for Charley.
Yeah, I was wondering if there is a law against a younger person taking advantage of an older person in financially wise. That's my question. Thank you.
And there are laws. They're called elder laws. And what happens is many times a caregiver or something like that will take advantage of some older person that they're taking care of, because sometimes the people they're not even well enough that they can manage their finances, and somebody gets in there and takes advantage of them and says they're giving them gifts and things like that, and that does happen, and there's some laws that try to prevent that. Obviously, it gets into a real kind of a gray area, because sometimes people want to give gifts, and when they get older, they have money to give gifts, and they want to give them to certain people, and they're not no one's taking advantage when they do that, and then some people take advantage of them, and they're giving gifts. So it's always kind of a fine line in there, but they do prosecute them, and the DA's office here does prosecute that kind of case.
Definitely a hard one to prove, though. It may seem like maybe the family feels like the person's being taken advantage of, but is that a difficult, like you said, a fine line, a difficult thing to maybe differentiate between?
Well, yes, and obviously when people get older, then some people don't visit them and they're by themselves, and they want to reward the people that come over and visit them that have something to do with them. So you get into this deal, well, my family never came over, but this person came over, so I want them to have the money. At least they paid attention to me when I was getting old and no one was taking care of me.
And if you're worried about that, maybe power of attorney over, let's say your parents are getting older, things like that, you can take over their power of attorney and help them out that way.
There's other ways to do that, but some people don't want that done. They want their independence with their money, and they want to decide where it goes.
All right, thanks so much, Charley. Thanks for your call.